being in a social situation, connecting with others is so paramount to our well-being and our psychological health and physical health, that could get lost in this.
Hello and welcome back to the Healthy Practice podcast from Write Up. I'm your host Lisa O'Rourke and I'm the content producer here at Write Up. In today's episode, we are taking a look at the current use of AI in the therapy room and beyond, from the rise of AI in therapy and the tools that can help you grow in your practice. To join in this discussion, I'm delighted to welcome back Sarah Rees to the podcast. Sarah is a BABCP accredited convict behavioural therapist running her own private practice in Cheshire. She is also a published author, a podcast host who offers coaching, courses and community on the platform Therapist Corner. I hope you enjoy our conversation. Okay, great. So Sarah, welcome back to the podcast. Thank you so much for agreeing to come on again. I'm really looking forward to this conversation. I did listen to your previous conversation about AI when you spoke to Ellie the last time, and obviously that was back in 2023, wasn't it?
Yeah,
So
changed.
Yeah, even though it's only 3 years, I think in the world of AI, like there was going to be a lot to discuss. So I'm really looking forward to this conversation today. So a lot has changed in the world of AI since you last spoke with Write Up. So can you provide a quick update with how you're currently using AI in your practice, if it has changed or maybe it's just the same? But any update that you've got would be great to share.
I think I'm using it every day within my practice now. Obviously, I have a clinic where I see my clients 3 days a week, and then I run the Therapist Corner community, so I use it within that, and content creation like you do. So I think the biggest way it's changed my practice is using, I use a AI software for note taking, which I know lots of health professionals are using across the kind of different organisations in healthcare. I was really nervous about introducing it into my practice and how clients would kind of perceive it or work with it. So I reached out to the company and had some kind of teachings and demos, and we brought them into the community to discuss it with it, make sure it was all GDPR compliant, and then started using it in my practice. Turns out I think clients are a lot more comfortable with AI now, and we're really happy to have me use the software. I just did not think they were, but the company that do the software said no, they don't mind. People are kind of embracing it. I was really shocked for that, and the freedom to not have to write clinical notes, which I know for many therapists the admin of what we do is overwhelming, and it frees us up to focus more on our clinical work, frees up our mind, takes a lot of the burden off what we do. And also I've started because I'm creating notes with AI very quickly, I can pass on summaries to clients, and some clients are really enjoying that as well, and getting, more information out of that therapy hour, because so much is said, so little of it is retained. The ability to have transcripts means that we can kind of make better use of that information and sit with it, let it land more in different ways. So I'm really enjoying that.
Yeah, no, that sounds amazing. It sounds like you have really adapted it and it's benefiting your work so much, which I think now in 2026 more and more industries are realizing how much it can benefit you, and it's something not to be so scared of. I think maybe when we first heard about AI, everyone was so scared it's going to take over jobs and it's going to we're going to get replaced by robots and stuff, which yes, there is still that concern, but I think you've adapted it really well to your practice. And for me personally, I do use AI every day as well, and it's not replacing my job or my thoughts, but it's just helping me, assisting me. So that is great. And here at Write Up, we actually have recognised how many therapists and clinicians spend so much time on transcribing, taking notes, and so we have actually just started to introduce our own AI scribe, which is amazing. So it's just going to get better and better.
What's that called that Write Up are introducing?
It's our AI medical scribe. So we've got that introduced onto our platform. It only just launched this month. But that's amazing to hear that like you actually already use a software. So we've definitely done the right thing there. So hopefully it will benefit a lot of people. So yeah, so where do you think AI can add the biggest value to a therapist's workflow? Obviously you have just kind of spoke about your notes there, but is there anything else as well on top of that?
Well, I think the general kind of workflow of running a day-to-day practice is going to be really streamlined in terms of emails now, depending on what
Mm-hmm.
email system you're writing. It's kind of um, coming up with prompts a lot quicker. And I've just started using, I think it's called Whisperflow, a transcribe service where you can, I know AI Write Up have that on the app. You can scribe your notes, and that was the first kind of way I started changing how I do my notes, and now I'm doing it for emails. It's called Whisperflow. I mean, there'll be so many out there, but just being able to speak my emails just has cut down the admin time completely, and my to-do list as well, structuring my day, and being able to give myself breaks and spaces,
Mm-hmm.
accounting for that time as well.
Yeah.
We have a lot of admin load as a therapist
Yeah.
in private practice.
Yeah, I can imagine. I'm sure now that you've like adapted it or integrated it so much into your work, I bet you think, how did I even run my clinic before this? Yeah. Um, so yeah, so the past 2 to 3 years, there has been a huge shift towards like normalizing AI in everyday life. So at one end, you have like consulting, like for instance, ChatGPT for well, for anything. People do it for home renovation tips, for a cooking recipe, whatever it may be. But at the other end, which is quite a big topic of discussion, is people do use it really on like a personal level and to share like emotions and personal informations.
Mhm.
People I think have started to use it as a type of therapist or therapy as well. So before we kind of dive deeper into this, does the rise of using AI on a personal level concern you in any way?
It does to a degree because also know that it's not always accurate, and it's kind of always wanting to make you feel better. So it's giving you a certain type of response because it wants to make you feel good. And I think the difference with therapy is that part of therapy is to raise difficult issues, have difficult conversations, kind of test things out. It's to have more challenging conversations as well. That part of, pushing people out of comfort zone, helping people to tolerate difficulty, to experience difficulty so they can process through it. Well, AI is not going to do that. So it's going to give
Mm-hmm.
some things. And I think, I'm really excited about the breadth of mental health information that's going to be available to people on a much wider scale. I think that's hugely important because as a CBT therapist, what I do, a lot of the psychoeducation I think should be taught at schools. So it should be freely out there. So I'm excited about it, but it just come with a little bit of a health warning that are you always getting the accurate information? It isn't a human being at the end of the day with years of clinical experience, and you have to bear that in mind. So tread with caution, I suppose.
Yeah, for
Mhm.
sure. And I think sometimes where I've seen like online, like reading reports and stuff, that it, if you are using it for personal use, that sometimes it doesn't like um accountability is something that it doesn't really work with. It's more just, it's
Yeah.
almost on your side all the time, which sometimes isn't really what a person needs. So yeah, I can see where
Mm.
the concern can come from. And why do you believe people are potentially turning to AI for therapy? Do you think it's maybe purely for money reasons, or do you think there's anything else that could be playing a part in that?
I think money will be part of the reason.
Yeah.
I think health is something that people generally invest in because if we lose our health, it impacts every aspect of our life. So our health will always be so important for us. But I think the thing with AI, it's like can be like having a therapist in your pocket. It's the immediacy see the access to it, it's always there on hand 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
I think it's that really. And I think there's, often what prevents people from coming to the therapy room is shame or fear of judgment
Mhm.
and those things, AI is not gonna kind of give you that judgment.
Yeah.
Um,
It's maybe put someone's mind at rest over a situation without actually having to like properly face up to it or face up to someone. And I suppose it's just easier for people as well if it's just on your phone. Yeah. Um, and what do you think that the potential psychological risks are, maybe relying on AI for companionship? I know that there is a platform called Replica that is actually like, it is marketed as like a companion. It's there to chat to you 24/7. Like, it is basically, I don't think it says it's a therapist, but is very much alluding to it will be there for you. But yeah, do you think there's any psychological risks if someone is just purely relying on a chatbot for that type of like emotion?
I think sometimes it can make you feel like loneliness is being helped and like you have
Mm-hmm.
somebody having your back through the world. But we are a social species, and that social connection is hugely important. That relatability, that sitting in a room with somebody feeling very held and emotionally supported is, is what makes us thrive as human beings. So I think there's a risk of not being able to have those difficult conversations one to one with other people is maybe going to impact how we socialize. I think we're kind of seeing that already in the way,
Yeah.
some people are not used to having phone conversations anymore. We text and we
Mm-hmm.
always take the easier route because we're all time poor. But actually, those, being in a social situation, connecting with others is so paramount to our well-being and our psychological health and physical health that
Mm-hmm.
could get lost in this. But also what I'm seeing is that, we could look for that in other ways, that community and having people around us. I hope it goes that way. I think it will.
Yeah.
Mm.
What I've actually heard quite a lot of on like other podcasts that I've listened to is like people chatting to these bots rather than like their partners, and maybe getting like some form of
Right.
like connection or chat through these bots. But it's like, where does the line stop with that? You're just not really sure.
They're
Yeah.
my companions as well.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And it's I was listening to a podcast, it's kind of like a dating podcast, and this girl was like, is this classed as cheating? Or is it emotional cheating? Like, but it's so like up in the air that no one really knows what you would call that.
Mm.
So yeah, it is an interesting side of it for sure. And just moving on, so from your perspective, is there a danger in stigmatizing those who use AI for a deeper personal reason?
I think we're all gonna be turning to it for things that we didn't think we would be turning, ask more personal questions. So, but we always judge people, don't we? We do, but we all have tricky brains. We're all struggling with our own stuff, and hopefully we can kind of understand why somebody is turning to AI. It's obviously
Yeah.
meeting an unmet need, and that's what we should be focusing on. What are the needs that people are struggling with? Isolation, loneliness, not having access to mental health support because of costs, or waiting lists that are 18 months long mean that there's not the access that there should be. And our communities are not holding us in the way that they once were. We don't live near our families anymore. We can work on our own in our own home without having to meet anybody. We don't even go to the shop and speak to somebody at the shop anymore. We can use a till that's remote. So we're getting more and more lonely.
Yeah. Yeah, I suppose with that, it's like, do you think eventually maybe it'll be normalized for people, or maybe there'll be a bit more of an open conversation? Like, yeah, I do turn to AI for
I think it
this
already
reason.
is. I think it already is.
Yeah.
Clients that are coming to me have already gone quite a way down the line with AI before they come
Oh,
into
have
the
they?
therapy room. Yeah, they're coming
Yeah.
plans, they're a lot more educated.
Yeah.
The way they talk about what they're struggling with is a lot more informed, and I
Mhm.
think that's a real positive. So I'm
Yeah.
seeing that change already,
Yeah.
you know.
No,
Yeah.
that's amazing. Okay, so bringing it back to maybe a more practical side of things, how can practitioners ensure they are using AI in a way that aligns with professional and ethical standards?
Mm.
For example, like asking clients, are they happy to use AI for note taking, etc.?
If they're following, ethical GDPR practices and data protection guidelines, it should be non-negotiable that if you're using a piece of software to help you in the delivery of therapy, that needs to be in your therapy agreement. Any software, we shouldn't be putting sensitive data, which is names, date of birth, identifying information, into any software that we don't know about. We need to know, how it complies with GDPR or not use it at all. Uh, so it's just a continuation, hopefully, of what we're doing already. It shouldn't be any different. And of course, getting consent and informed consent from our clients, that and the client should be fully aware of the systems that we use, why we're using them, and how we're using them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, fab. And do you have any advice on marketing yourself and standing out as a therapist in today's AI world?
I think with the rise of AI and it doing generic very well, that we're going to have to kind of stand out as a bit different. I've always talked to therapists setting up in private practice that they need to niche and be very clear about who they are and the service they offer. But I think that niching is going to become more and more important.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
So that's kind of what I'm advising therapists to do, and certainly something that I'm going to look at more, because we serve everybody, we do everything and treat everything. Is you just get lost in that information. But I think it's a great way of. I think we should be careful of losing our voice. That use AI to kind of inform us and help us structure things. But I think having your own voice, putting yourself out there so that you know, that we can help clients to help them make the decision about the therapist they choose. That's when you work in private practice, that's your responsibility, is to help clients make a really good informed choice. And in part, that does mean putting a bit of who we are out there, and maybe a little bit more than what we've done. I know some therapists are very wary about that, and we should do just what we're comfortable with. But how can people choose a therapist if we all sound exactly the same? We have to put a little bit more of us out there, because people, when they choose to come and see a therapist, or counsellor, they might be doing that a little bit further down the line now, but they are going to be choosing a person to work with, and that relational component is going to become more and more important. By the time they want to sit in a room with somebody or online with somebody, that therapeutic connection is what they're going to be looking for, and you can start that connection way before somebody walks into the therapy room or the therapy Zoom room or whatever. So putting your voice out there. So a lot of, I always advise that people start with transcribing their thoughts and ideas and get AI to shape that, and then you can ensure that your voice comes through. Otherwise, you're just going to sound like the NHS website.
Yeah.
That's my way.
Which, yeah, no. And I think it's also with obviously the rise of AI and people using AI for these type of things, it's just showing maybe more like the skills that like therapists have that AI it doesn't.
Mm.
Just getting that out there a little bit more as well and showing why like maybe AI is good to start off with, but if you really want to, get to the root of the cause, then you need to
Yeah,
still come see us in person.
yeah.
Yeah. So what is one area of their business you'd encourage therapists to look at integrating AI?
Into their business. I think
Yeah.
helping with that workload, I think the note-taking system is the thing that kind of really takes a lot of the weight out of, the burden of the admin. So simplifying systems, support with letter writing can be, hugely beneficial. And it should be helping therapists to really find their voice and articulate things much better so that you get information over simply, in the letters and the work you're creating. But I think a lot of the work we do as therapists, especially in private practice around the marketing, there's a lot of areas that AI can help you, and that's growing every day. They're becoming assistants with co-work and stuff. We have virtual assistants in our pocket now that can take a lot of heavy lifting off us, so we can gives us a lot more time to focus on the clinical work that we do and the formulation and that reflection work,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
which is really exciting.
Yeah, no, it is, and I think that is definitely the correct part where
Yeah,
AI can help you guys for sure, and also like obviously the less time spending on that admin, it will give you or someone new to a private practice that time to maybe market themselves a little bit more on social media where they would never have had that time before. So yeah, it's definitely going to be a big benefit to you guys. We know that AI can feel like a minefield, but at WriteUp, we've designed a tool that saves you time and seamlessly integrates into your existing workflow. WriteUp's AI medical scribe turns spoken face-to-face consultations and dictation into structured clinical notes, documents, and completed assessments. AI generates the first draft, you finesse and adjust the tone to meet your judgment. Located securely within WriteUp, AI Scribe can cut back your admin time up to 70%, organising your session recordings in minutes. Join over 50,000 clinicians who are taking ownership of their practice with WriteUp. Go to writeup.com, that's WRITEUPP.com. And finally, just a bit of a philosophical question to end us with, but do you think AI poses a threat to the therapy field in any way?
I don't think it poses a threat, but I think everything's constantly evolving, and this is just a new evolution of therapy. And I think it needed to change. We've got huge unmet need, a society that is getting more lonely by the day, getting more educated about mental health and the struggles and the support that's out there and can be possible. So I think it's exciting. I think the way we deliver therapy will change. And now I run Therapist Corner on Substack, and I'm seeing more and more therapists in private practice set up their own Substacks. We're building communities, because I think that's going to be a big change, that we do one-to-one therapy and also maybe have communities of people with the same kind of struggles or issues or on the same journeys. And so I think it's a time where we can look at how we can build more connection with people. So it's always evolving. So we're always on a
Always,
journey.
yeah, it's always evolving, and it's like you just need to learn how to adapt and integrate it to your work instead of letting it take over. Certainly feel like that as well with like content creation and marketing and stuff. It is the same. People worry that like, oh, can it just do my job? But it's like, no, just don't let it take over your job. Just learn how to work with it, and it will only benefit you, I'm sure. Well, thank you so much, Sarah. That was a great conversation. It was a great update to where you're at with the AI world. Just before I go, I've got one last question. But how do you see the role of AI evolving in the mental health space over the next decade?
Gosh, that's a big question, isn't it?
I know, because you
I
think a decade's so far away, but we'll be there before we know it.
Yeah. So 10 years time, I would imagine that people therapists are more specialized in what they do, that people get more used to having kind of coaching and support through AI and seeing therapists for more specialized assessment and interventions. So I'm I wonder if therapists will deliver more workshops as well, have more communities. So we might all be involved also in communities with people on similar journeys. Yeah, and I don't know. We probably will have a little therapist robot we can pull out when we need.
Yeah, actually sitting in the practice with you,
Yeah,
probably.
yeah.
Well,
Supervision maybe.
yeah, yeah. Um, no, that was great, Sarah. Thank you so much. That was a fab conversation. I know that you have your own podcast, you have your Substack. So, if you want to let the listeners know where we can hear more of you, please go and let us know where to find you.
I'm most active on Substack, where I run Therapist Corner community, which is for therapists in private practice that are really investing in their business, looking at doing things differently and owning the landscape of private practice and creating a space where their practices support them as much as their clients. So very sustainable, kind of, because often we get burnt out and stuff. So I have that community where we do Q&As and blog posts, and I help therapists keep up to date what's happening in the business world of therapy. And I'm also active on Instagram, where my handle is sarah.drees.co.uk, and I share tips about delivering therapy in private practice.
Amazing. Thank you. I'll definitely be giving you a follow for sure. Well, thank you so much, Sarah. I think that is us for today.
Thank you for having me on. It's been a pleasure being back.
And that is the end of today's episode. I just want to say a big thank you to Sarah for sharing her fantastic insights into this topic. I hope you took something away from it. Remember to check out writeup.com for all your practices software solutions and to start your free 30-day trial, no payment details required. Thanks for listening to the Healthy Practice podcast. If you enjoyed it, please leave us a rating and review. Thanks, and I'll see you next time.